Hello. Okay. Hello, do you hear me? Okay. Okay, sorry for the beginning problems, technical problems. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the second edition of the IFLA Document Delivery and Resource Sharing section webinar series. I'm your moderator for today's session, and I am very happy because we are together with hundreds of colleagues from all over the world. Today we will talk artificial intelligence and libraries, which is very trending topic lately. And before we dive in, let me introduce myself. I am Filiz Ekingen Flores Mamondi. I am from Turkey, and I work at Boğaziçi University, one of the oldest and prestigious institution in Turkey. I'll be guiding you through today's webinar. We are together with very valuable presenters who are expert in their field, Bart Murphy and Dr. Vijay Kumar Verma. We are excited to have them here today. Thank you very much again. The duration of the webinar will be 1 hour. Please feel free to leave your questions in the chat box. We will have time for questions after the presentations. Before I give the floor to Bart Murphy to talk about this, I would like to introduce him to you. Bart Murphy joined OCLC as the Chief Technology and Information Officer in December 2018. He leads OCLC Global Technology Team and oversees engineering centers around the world. Murphy's technology experience spans a diverse set of organizations and industries. Before joining OCLC, he was the Chief Technology Officer of Prior Auth Now, a technology organization that enables streamlining healthcare access through prior authorization automation. Before that, he was the Chief Information and Technology Officer at York Risk Service Group, after holding the same position for the CareWorks family of companies before the acquisition. In addition, he served the president of CareWorks technology consulting company. Murphy technology expertise is in software development, infrastructure, data management, security, portfolio, and management. His technology leadership earned him a spot among IG's Computer World Premier 100 IT leaders, which recognized exceptional technology leadership and innovative approach to business challenges. He served on the board of the Central Ohio Association, where he's currently treasurer. Murphy earned a bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering with a minor in math from the University in Pennsylvania. Now, I would like to give floor to our first speaker, Bart Murphy.
Well, thank you. And, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm glad we were able to work through them. We now can hear you and are on the screen. I'm going to try to share my presentation here. So let me get that going. And then I just may ask for some confirmation that you're actually able to see my screen and that I'm in presentation mode. Let's see if this is working. Did that go into presentation mode yet? I think it's showing as thumbs up. So thank you so much for having me. As mentioned, I'm Bart Murphy, the Chief Technology and Information Officer here at OCLC. And today we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence in general. And I'm excited to hear Vijay's take on this as well. I'm going to actually go through what I see are some use cases specific to resource sharing, since that's the ask. And I'll go through sort of what our approach is and even some real life use cases associated with how we're implementing components of that sort of AI umbrella, because it is a large umbrella when you start to look at the different types of technologies that fall under that sort of designation, if you will, particularly given how hot the terminology is right now in the market. So when we look at this, obviously...
Sorry, Bart, they say that it's not presentation mode.
Got it.
Okay.
And we'll do it this way. There we go. Much better?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Good. Thank you for letting me know that, because the Zoom wasn't working all that well. So we measure our success certainly by looking at library outcomes, and thank you for the feedback. I see the thumbs up now and stuff. When we do look at it, obviously there's many different things that you need to consider when you're looking at this technology. This is true really for any technology implementation, but certainly even more relevant when you're looking at things and leveraging things like machine learning or AI, LLMs. You really have to look at how transparent are you going to be? What are the ethical considerations that you need to have from a bias perspective? All the sort of regular things around process and implementation. And I'll get into some of these aspects as I go. And I also want to make sure I'm going to move fast because I want to make sure I get through time and we have time not only for VJ, but also for questions. So when we think about it, we're thinking about, it's particularly when you think about resource sharing, it's always about getting anything, anytime, anywhere. That's really the end goal when you start looking at the resource sharing component along with you to leveraging this technology. And really, I see it in these three sort of areas. One is there's metadata management. There's a big component on ensuring your metadata quality is accurate. That's going to help the throughput through any system, regardless of whether you're leveraging AI or not. And there's major things that you can do in leveraging AI, particularly machine learning in the metadata management. There's some other areas that we're exploring on the LLM side as well. There's a user experience. We haven't gotten as much into this because we're trying to build sort of the back-end operating component, but there's some examples, at least an example that I have. And then there's staff efficiencies. This is a big component of what I would see in the resource sharing space for that. And I know there's Q&A. Should I be doing this real time? Because I can't see it. I'm just asking, or should I wait until later? Okay. Didn't get answers. So I'm just going to keep moving forward. So one of the areas that we look at for metadata is really improving the quality of all of our records. The reason for this is to ensure that we have accurate baseline information in our global catalog. When we do that, and we do that with holdings across multiple institutions around the world, we need to make sure that we're actually keeping the right type of source record, and we're not generating, in this case, a use case around duplicates. Even when we look at just current WorldCat and the deduplication process that we've built over 30 years, there's still an opportunity for the systems and the programming to miss potential duplicates. So we're constantly looking at ways to improve this and really started making improvement as soon as we could get into AI, particularly into machine learning. So our current dedupe process, really a lot of programming and string comparisons of records. And as you get into MARC records, you can see there's very different records that describe the same instance. This is very difficult programmatically for a system to understand. And this is just one example of something that would present that. When you look at very similar records, but they're describing different instances, it could be volumes, it could be other components. So these are two examples are just to show you how complex programmatically it can get when you're trying to land on and have a curated data set so that you have actual items that you're going to do, which is very important for resource sharing because you want to make sure that you're comparing the item that's being requested across catalogs across many, many institutions. So we just took that example and said, we've been doing this code for quite some time. We want to look at the role of AI. How can we look at a process to go and use machine learning in order to do this? So take away the 30 years of programming we've done, start building a machine learning model and see, can it do it as good or with a better quality than our programming? Particularly, this is very basic stuff that we did. We used a gradient boosting model. The good news is that we have examples of things that have been either merged or identified as duplicates for over decades. So a big part of actually being able to deploy this is having the data to support your ability to build such a model and having the historical data to do it. When we started looking at it, we started looking at, our wide set. There's a first process we can take by just taking some specific rules and reducing our ecosystem that we're going to look at for records in just real clear cases to reduce our size. We then created what we thought were candidate pairs for all duplicates. That's from that process. Then we started applying our machine learning model. And when we found we started applying the machine learning model, we started to determine what could we remove from a rules perspective, as far as it being very high quality degree of a duplicate, what to hold and what to retain. We also then created an actual web application that sent out pairs that we were confused with, the model was confused with, and we pushed it out to the entire cataloging community. I think it was around, gosh, I may be incorrect, 60 or 70,000 pairs and triplets that we sent out, and we got feedback from catalogers from every type of cataloging organization. They then identified for us, when we reinserted that into the model, it moved us up above a 97% from a quality perspective. So here's sort of where we landed, and I do the picture just so that, you know, a little humor, but you know, what is a chihuahua or what is a muffin? That's how confusing it can get from a data perspective when you're looking at particularly MARC records as it relates to what's unique. But we were able to get over 97%, which is very high quality for a machine learning model. And we already had existing processes that we could insert these data sets into, because we already have really large bulk processes to do processing of duplicates, to move the holdings, to then update the catalog across the ecosystem. So that was one implementation. I think getting your core data set accurate and leveraging things like machine learning, I think, is going to be key to ensuring that you can then traverse across a wider set of catalogs to identify opportunities for resource sharing, an item that is actually the item you're looking for. Phase 2, we're looking at now to improve it on all these other languages and ebooks, but that's just for the future. From a user experience perspective, the one thing that we've done with LLMs is really just looking at a recommendation engine. We've implemented this on WorldCat, but to ground that recommendation engine to ensure that we don't have any hallucinations, we manage a private instance of the LLM. We call an API for that. It returns information, and then we scan our data set within WorldCat to ensure it's only returning records that exist in the data set. So when I think you're looking at things like LLM, it's important, particularly from a user perspective, to ensure you're not giving them something from a recommendation engine perspective that is not something in your catalog. So that's something that we're doing on the user experience side and trying to improve that component by leveraging wider use commercially available LLMs. In this example, it happens to be ChatGPT. When we start looking at resource sharing specifically, the good news is that we've been working with resource sharing for decades. And so we have a lot of historical data. A big part of that data shows that, you know, from a borrowing perspective, there's both, you know, particularly when you look at consortia, there's a lot of borrowing in the group, and then there's even as much borrowing outside of the group. So when we start looking at that from a rules perspective and policy perspective, it gets very complex very quickly. It also, we could found that about 80% are widely held items. So very ideal for an automation if we start to look at it. So we started to go through a procedure of saying, how can we improve through machine learning and other advanced algorithms? How can we improve the workflow of efficiency related to resource sharing? We started first with our automated request manager. There's many things that we know rule-wise that we know the request manager can just bypass from the standpoint of not having to do a manual hop. We did this initially via an algorithm, and now it's working through a model. When we start looking at then real-time availability, so reaching in real time to any system after we've identified what we think is a decent path for a resource sharing transaction, we're then going and seeing, is it available from a shelving perspective? This was a lot of technology development that needed to be done, but it adds a data element into the workflow where you can immediately bypass items where it's not available, as opposed to creating the request, somebody looking at it on their end, and them saying that it's not available. This took a lot of work, but you can see the amount of hours saved. And again, since we have deep sort of networks from this perspective and the way that we've done our integration, we had the capability of doing that. So this is just an example of seeing that it's not on the shelf. So that real-time availability helps you automate through the workflow. But where we really started seeing a lot of improvement now is creating a machine learning model to actually generate smarter lender strings. This gets into all kinds of different types of technology, particularly as you start to look at things like time zone awareness. So understanding through a global network when things can be approved and worked based on time zones. So instead of going to somebody their library is no longer open, going to somebody who is, that has that same item, understanding the types of items that we're asking for, load balancing and understanding if they did 100 requests last year, really good, but if you added 200 requests, that organization wouldn't be able to support it. All these things have been built into the model, and now we're finding that any item that we do is 30% faster from just adding that new machine learning model. So it just gives you an example of the number of hops that we used to take. Now the smart lending string that is actually being developed real time by the model is actually landing on, without these hops, a better one-step process into that opportunity. So just a really neat thing. And we also applied that same concept to electronic assets as well, so that we could get those turned around. And now we're seeing an average of 10 hours or less. So real improvement if you look at your resource sharing. The thing that you're going to need, though, if you're doing it as an organization, is you're going to need a lot of historical data. Big reason why our models are very accurate is because we have, tons of historical data, and we're running that process and then adding more data to it every day that the system is running. So scale will matter as it relates to this from a machine learning perspective. Another big sort of, I can say, AI umbrella is understanding what you can do with the data. You need to get it into some type of technology from a data lake perspective where you can apply these AI and ML concepts. We happen to use Snowflake for it, and we happen to bring in all of our data so that we can start to mix and match the type of data to make out these models and be more accurate from a quality perspective. You got to be in that sort of 97, 98% accuracy when you're looking to automate a workflow, and that's very difficult to do on machine learning. We've done that through Choreo, and again, bringing it into Snowflake, which is an awesome platform to both create a physical and logical copy of your data set, but also to have elastic compute, which allows us to run very large processes in a very cost-effective way. It would be very expensive to do this if we had to build our own infrastructure related to that. So that's Choreo. What we're working on next is really LLMs and linked data. So from a metadata perspective, we have three sort of use cases going on right now where we're enriching our metadata by managing and running things through open source LLMs, or we're looking at the commercial LLMs. We also have our linked data entity structure, and we're both enriching MARC data with that, as well as we start to build out our bid frame conversions, understanding the components of that. And as we make those relationships, we can then bring to bear more on the discovery side so that we can help on the user experience component related to resource sharing. So that helps us obviously increase our speed because we're finding the right item. We're doing better fulfillment, and it also adds for much richer discovery. So I'll be able to answer any questions on the LLM side. We are also doing some components in search. In search, we do billions of searches a year. So using a commercially available cloud LLM is not really economical and really not within the budget of what we can perform. So we're a hybrid. So we're doing our own GPUs in our data center and running open source LLMs that can do things like topic extraction, summary analysis, on the metadata, this linked data component, and language translation on the fly. It does about 47 languages. So those are the areas that we're really focused in on right now as we move forward. So again, where we look at it, we're just trying to ensure that if we can make the library and the workflows more efficient, more accurate, more helpful for the individual trying to seek that information, that's a huge win. That's our sort of guiding component. But we also need to make sure from an ethics and transparency perspective, we can fully explain any model that we're using. In every case, we actually run the model in parallel with our existing processes. We have existing processes, existing code. And then obviously you need to continue to experiment as we go through.
Sorry, Bart, the time is almost
Yep,
over.
there we go. We started a little late, so that was my 20 minutes.
Yes,
Carry on. Can you
It's
stop
finished?
sharing here? There we go.
Okay, you finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to thank Bart Murphy for the valuable information he shared. I believe that artificial intelligence can improve many library services, such as reference service, resource sharing, cataloging, and metadata creation. Also, we see that personalized recommendation for library users based on their research habits and interest, and all application of artificial intelligence in library complex service area are changing. Now, before I pass the floor to the second presenter, I would like to introduce him. Dr. Vijay Kumar Verma is currently holding the position of Assistant Librarian at the Central Library, Indian Institution of Technology, Delhi. He has approximately 20 years of experience in library and information services. Before the tenure IT Delhi, he worked at the National Defense College, Ministry of Defense, New Delhi. Dr. Verma holds a PhD in library and information. He has further improved his skills by completing specialized courses through Coursera, including research data management and sharing from the University of North Carolina, information security, context and introduction from the University of London, and technical writing from the Moscow Institute of Physics and Technology, and few others. Additionally, he has completed advanced courses in patent and patent information search. His role at IT Delhi encompasses significant responsibilities, including managing e-resources division, research support service, and outreach programs, and others. Dr. Verma interests span electronic resources management, research data management, information security, open access, and application of few technologies in libraries. He actively contributes to advancement of knowledge dissemination within academic institutions. Okay, yes, Mr. Vijay.
Thank you, Felix. I'm just sharing my screen. Thanks for the introduction. I'm just sharing it. Is it visible?
Could you make full screen? Yes.
Yeah, I have made it. Is it visible now in PowerPoint presentation mode?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, IFLA, for inviting for this session. And it was a great to listen Bart Murphy, who explained how AI is being used by OCLC in the different services. And they are the actual user of AI. And we know that AI having the potential to use in many services apart from what Bart Murphy has covered. This is the outline of my presentation, and we'll be covering a brief about AI and what's the potential use of AI, what are the issues and challenges faced by the library in using it. We know that over the period of time, the library has traveled a long journey. Our civilization has traveled a long journey. From the clay tablet to the modern tablet, what we are talking about. And during this journey, the main motive, the basic factor of a library is to provide information. As Murphy also said, library success is their success. That means that the main motive of library is to provide information. And with the time, with the changing of time, something has changed. The nature of resources has changed. The demand from the user has changed. Technology has changed. And the nature of work the LI's professional perform is changing. And libraries all over the world adopted this change with positive attitude and providing services for the satisfaction of the user's demand. If you see, when we talk about artificial intelligence, the question comes to your mind, how an intelligence can be artificial? Because when we talk about intelligence, is always should be the human centric. We know about the IQ and EQ and other things, but now the machine is outperforming human being in many cases. As Murphy mentioned, that with the help of machine, how the time saved, 4 million hour time of user has been saved. So you can see the capability of machine in performing those activities, and the use of machine in performing various tasks has led for the betterment of library services. And as he mentioned that the ML, NLP, machine learning, natural language processing, a large language model, all these are the part of this AI technology. If you see the growth of literature in AI domain, over the period of time, the growth is significant. While searching Scopus data, I found approximately 0.5 million document is published is covered by index in Scopus since beginning. But when the question comes in AI and library, artificial intelligence and library, then the number of document is approximately 7,000. That indicates that much research is not being done on the application of AI in library. You know, the AI is being used by various domain in our day-to-day life, like all these things, all the factors which I mentioned in my slide, search engine, chat GPT, in cell phone and commerce, e-commerce company like that, all. Hence, there is a scope for application of AI in the library. But the question is that, are the libraries all over the world ready for that? Because there are different types of libraries, government library, public library, academic library, different geographical area, different infrastructure. So we have to see, are we ready for that? Not much research has been done. While doing the literature review, I found that the research then is not adequate to find that whether libraries all over the world are ready for this new technology or not. Hence, now some of the dedicated systems are being used by some libraries in form of robotics or in form of text mining, data mining, LLM, large language model, use of ML, but a delicate balance is needed while we are going to implement this technology in library. Now, you see the use of AI in libraries. Dr. Murphy has explained one of the domain in which library AI is being used in the library, like big data analytics. They are analyzing the data, providing the result, duplication check, and other things. So that is one of the important things where the library can take the advantage of AI and AI can be used in the library. Apart from this, AI can support the remote library services. The services, the 24/7 support can be given to AI to the library through the chatbot and other. It can support the virtual assistant services to the library. You know, one of the study found that misself item is one of the important tasks of any academic library or any type of library. One of the study found approximately more than 5% items are missold in big library. Here, AI can perform a function where missold item can be located during the off hour of the library, and that can be tracked and given information to the library, or even can also use robotics technology and other things. Apart from this, AI can be used for the assistant in subject indexing for the books and databases. As of now, most of the indexes are made by the author and the subject expert. But AI having the capacity to make accurate and fast indexes that can be broad and time-saving also. This is the capacity of AI. Now we are talking about the smart cities. a smart city having everything interconnected. Here, the AI can play an important role. Library can be hub of all information gathering point of a smart city. Library having the capacity to provide information to all citizens of the smart city in the way by which they can get the information, the accurate information, timely information in less time. AI can be used in citation also. Various tools are there which can use AI and find out about the citation, can find out about which the article which is cited is is opposing the concept of a particular article or not, is sharing the same concept of the particular article or not. In citation, there is a scope of AI. Apart from this, AI can be used in the writing tool. Like you see, Scopus has just launched Scopus AI. It has the capability. Even some writing tools like Grammarly, like Quillbot, and other writing tools having the incorporation of AI, which is making the life of researcher and the person who are using the tool easier and get maximum input from these tools. Document matching, Murphy has already explained how the document they are matching, OCLC is matching. So this can be used for the document matching also. This can be used for the enhanced cataloging. One of the projects of MIT, Hamlet, how about machine learning enhanced thesis, in which they are using AI technology, in which what they are doing the subject vectors, they are making it, and they are finding out the better catalog, better matching of the record, whatever they have. Similarly, AI can help also enhance the classification process. Data retrieval, as we know that AI and big data are almost synonymous. AI can use for the data retrieval process. And that data retrieval, as Murphy explained, can be done easily, and OCLC is doing in that thing. AI can also be used for the customized suggestion. You can, based on your searching history, based on your issue return history, based on your reading history, it can suggest, it can put the customized suggestion to the user and the library professionals also, and that can be used for efficient utilization of the resources, and that can be used for betterment of the library and library services. AI can also use for the cooperation and exchange of information, as Murphy explained in detail in his previous one. Is automate the document access, and intelligent document inventory is possible. Intelligent sorting is also possible with the help of AI. But since the lack of time, we are not going to explain it, but this is the capability of AI based on the literature, whatever available in the domain. One of the important features of AI that it can be better accessibility for the differently able people. You know, text to speech, image enlargement, and other services, AI having capacity so that differently able people can take the advantage of AI, and they can use the resources, they can use the services of the library in their day-to-day life, in their research and reading endeavor. AI can also be used for the a smart book recommendation system based on the user preference and the large set of data. AI can recommend the library which book a library should procure, and this is this help in the futuristic collection development. It's also help in the ambience control of the library. We know about IoT, Internet of Things, but now we are talking about AIoT, artificial interconnected things, and this AIoT can help in the library ambience control and better a good feeling of the users to the library. If you see the application of AI in interlibrary loan, although Dr. Murphy has explained it, but some of the basic difficulty which current ILL system faces can easily be overcome with the help of AI, like copyright and licensing assistance. You see, while providing digital document to a library, copyright is one of the important aspects we always think about. With the help of AI, since AI having capability to scan through billion of document and find out the licensing terms, copyright term, so this can be helpful while giving providing document to interlibrary loan to a library, and it can remove many manual tasks. It help for the predictive retrieval of the document. Which particular document a user requested, the same type of document or similar document can be retrieved with the help of AI technology. Tasks can be automated as explained by Dr. Murphy, and the quality can be controlled. The database exploration can be done. You see, the metadata searching, the metadata quality improvement can be done, and it's very important that for interlibrary loan, or metadata metadata plays a very important role to that. AI can help in that aspect in finding the relevant material and in improving the quality of metadata. Some of the benefits which AI can do with interlibrary loan services, the turnaround time would be faster. Library can do interlibrary loan at the faster way. The material access would be increased. There would be the possible cost reduction, although while the implementation of AI require investment is required, basically cost is involved, but with the passing of time, there would be the possible cost reduction, and the process of interlibrary loan would be efficient for the library. Now, as Murphy discussed, we should be very careful for implementation, like transparency, ethical issues, and other. So AI having those issues are there, strengths are there, is opportunities, providing opportunity to library, but at the same time, we considering a threat to the library, to the user, like we considering it that the job would go, there are ethical concern, there is security and privacy concern. So this concern should be taken care while implementing AI technology in a library.
Sorry, Mr. Vijay, so last 2 minutes, please,
Yeah,
to have enough time for the questions.
Definitely, I will complete in 2 minutes. Okay. Now, what are the different factors which are affecting adoption of AI? One of the important factors is the complicated licensing rules, the copyright restriction, and the budgetary issues also, and lack of readiness by the library, because we don't have the technical expert in the library who can understand the AI system and implement it. So lack of readiness is from the library side. Some of the issues and challenges we have already discussed. One of the important is privacy and security, because with AI, your data would be there. So we are always concerned about our privacy and security, and it's expensive also. At the same time, the different government are in the process to formulate policies, but there is a lack of policy formation from the different countries with respect to AI. Now, what library can do? We know the strength, we know the weakness, we know the capability. What we can do as a library professional, we should have to follow the guideline of IFLA and the other organizations like OCLC, like ACRL and other things. We try to help in development of responsible AI technology. inform user about if there be any biasness in the algorithm, the privacy and security, and also help in ethical development of AI tools. Hence, in conclusion, I say that AI definitely having the potential. We all know that AI is potential, and the library would ultimately take the benefit of this. But we should have to make a delicate balance, keeping in view of all the consideration which are surrounded around AI. And we need more time, expertise, more research for AI implementation. Thank you. Thanks for my side and opportunity for me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for the very valuable information, Mr. Vijay Kumar. We understand that artificial intelligence has the potential to significantly transform libraries by making them more efficient, user-friendly, and data-driven. I see that there are some questions in the chat box that I would like to ask. There's one question, say, what is the difference between working through an algorithm and working through a large language model? Mr. Murphy, would you like to answer this?
Sure, and I see they say, sorry, machine learning model, and there is differences. If you look at AI in general too, I would say that a lot of people put expert judgment systems under the umbrella of AI as well. And so we have some very advanced algorithms that may identify the data sets in which we then deploy into a machine learning model. Good example would be if we want to identify a particular type of media and know that, let's say, additions aren't a big significant issue in the resource sharing component, we may identify algorithmically a larger data set to push through the data model. So they work a little bit hand in hand. We have very advanced algorithms because of the code and the data set, and that's really was the only way to do a lot of policy management, getting the right electronic resource to the right thing, getting the right book, the right matching. So there is a slight difference between the two. Certainly a model is different than an algorithm, but it does run certain components inside of the model. So it does get a little bit confusing between the two. Sorry if I furthered that confusion, even with that answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Vijay, you want to add something, or I can pass you another question that our participant sent? You want to add something, or I can tell there is one another?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please. Which is the question? What is the question?
I say, what is the difference between working through an algorithm and working through a large language model? Actually, it's a machine learning model.
Yeah. Already Bart Murphy has explained it. So whatever the explanation he has given, that is more than enough.
Sorry? Okay.
Bart has already explained on this question.
Okay. So I will pass you another question. I say, will artificial intelligence replace the human beings in future in terms of library service? And what extent artificial intelligence will impact the library service special context to India?
Okay. The first part of the question is, will AI replace human being in future term of library services? In my opinion, AI will not replace human being in the future term of library services, because AI can't replace all the services given by the library. Definitely, some of the services would use AI, and there will be more use of AI in some of the services given by the library. But 100% replacement of human being is not possible, as per my personal opinion. The reason is that library provide different type of services, and in some services human touch it is still needed. For example, if there is some analysis like services, the comparison of the services, the query services, virtual assistant services, where human being can be replaced, but some of the other services, like where the explanation, the cognitive things is needed, at present, it's not possible to do those services which require human mind or cognition by AI component. And in context of India, you know, in India, we still are using information technology, information communication technology in some libraries. Not all the libraries are using ICT and its component. The public library and the government library, some academic library also, are not at par with the big libraries in India. So in context of India, it will take time to make AI impact on the services, and still what I find that no library using AI related services, although we subscribe some of the services from the different vendors, but like Discovery and some writing tools and other, but they are just assisting services to the users. They are not directly provided by the AI component and agent. Hence, in my perspective, it will still take time to make AI impact on libraries in country like India.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, there is another question has relation. This question also. I guess she is a librarian, but I would like to ask Bart Murphy also. Do you fear that artificial intelligence will take over some library employees in the future, since it saves a lot of time and energy? I mean, I would like to learn both presenters' opinion, actually.
Well, I think any level of automation, there's that concern, and we've been automating from a software and process perspective since probably the 60s and 70s. So artificial intelligence in and of itself is not in a position to do the complex work, as Vijay said, at this time. Even large language models have proven to be not efficient, and certainly not cost effective from the standpoint of replacing labor that I can see right now or in the near future. So I think that it will improve a lot of workflows, create capacity, which is highly needed, particularly in library profession. Most of the libraries are working with less staff and more work to do on almost a calendar basis. So I think for some, the goal is is it cost effective enough to improve those workflows in a manner that will improve that automation. So I don't see it in the short term having that level of impact. I know there's that concern. There's a concern in technology for the same reason. But I haven't seen anything that's at that level of degree of accuracy and at a cost point that would create that type of disruption in the near future. So all that could change certainly, but I don't see it from that perspective. I also saw a question around hallucinations, particularly, and a concern around, which, again, goes back to, is the technology trustworthy enough? So there's major challenges with the technology, hallucinations being one, particularly they're talking about citations here. But, there's ways to manage that. I mentioned how we did our recommendations. We ground the information on only recommending based upon our data set. To do that, you have to have a private instance and ground your LLM, regardless if it's a public one or not, on the documentation that you have. So it only can reference material that you have in your ecosystem. That then can eliminate the hallucinations from a citation perspective. But again, that's not trivial to do. It's not cheap to do. It's much different than using the public version of ChatGPT, and then that student coming and saying, I need this book for a citation. It's a completely fictitious article or book. So I can understand. So there's a lot to deal with as it relates to getting accurate information. We're just not there yet from this technology, not at this time.
Okay. Actually, Mr. Vijay, there is one question directly ILL, so I would like to ask this question to you. The Peter B asked, all hallucinations became a problem for many ILL practitioners because when our patrons see those non-existent citations from an IL system, they will treat it, make ILR requests. Since they look legal time citations, ILR staff spend hours and hours to find it, and they waste time for that. Will it be continuous problem or will it be solved the future? Is there anything we can do about it now?
Yeah, as just Bart explained, we can move, something can be done to solve this problem, but it's not easy to solve first thing, and it would be very expensive affairs because you have to train your LLM, which should have the extensive data, and the result is correct basically. So definitely it can be done, but what I think at present is a very costly thing, and at present I don't think it would be in the library would be in the position to implement this particular system where AI can give the correct citation and give you the correct reference for ILL book, and whatever the Peter mentioned in the question, that definitely this is a problem which everyone faces. But Murphy, what as per my knowledge, because I am not a technology person, but what I think that it's somewhat difficult to solve with the help of AI at this point of time. What's your opinion, please?
Okay, thank you very much.
Agree.
There's another question. It's which library implements artificial intelligence the most? Is it even possible to answer that? Bart Murphy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's all over the board. I think everybody's experimenting with it. You know, even all the way down to special collections type of archival libraries, particularly be given the NLP and the voice to text type of models that would help them with video and audio. So I think everybody's experimenting with it. I don't have any real beat on which library implements AI the most. You know, academics are doing it for different use cases than others, but that's probably where you're seeing the most experimentation, simply because it's in the academic world. That's where I would see.
Okay, thank you.
More so than like a public library, as an example, who I think would lean on their partners, their vendor providers, to introduce some of that technology for use within their systems.
Okay, there's another question regarding cataloging, I guess. I experimented to catalog library materials with ChatGPT, but the results were incorrect, even though the bibliographic data field in the question that I addressed to ChatGPT were correct. How librarians should use ChatGPT for cataloging purpose? What do you think?
Well, I mean, you can use any tool you want to try to improve your cataloging. The accuracy of the cataloging is going to be the problem. Obviously, we're a big cataloging company, so we're looking at things. I found that there's other methods. We do other index lookups, other things to automate cataloging. We are looking at large language models. It would not be the public version of ChatGPT that we would use in order to facilitate that, because we'd have to get down to, again, looking at our own data set to facilitate accurate cataloging, so we don't have to go back and review it, which could take just as much time as cataloging it. So I think you're going to have a challenge with just simply cataloging with ChatGPT from a consumer perspective. You may get something right, may not. The quality is the key in cataloging. I think in no way, shape, or form is it there yet. Just to leverage, does a decent job, gives you some good suggestions. No different than if you were to use Google or something else, but it's not there from a throughput perspective. Vijay, you're sort of nodding your head. I'm sure people have had some access to it. Do you have any thoughts there?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, our time is finishing. I mean, it's clear that the presenters made by our speakers in the future, it's clear that artificial intelligence, I guess, will play a very important role in the way library operate and serve our communities. As we wrap up today's session, I want to extend a big thank to you, our both speakers and attendees for their valuable contributions. I would like to also extend my colleagues with whom I work together in IFLA Resource Sharing Committee. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to see you for our next webinar. Until then, take care and goodbye. Thank you very much again.